Hi, I'm Marcia Lehman and I'm a Knox County Master Gardener. Today I'm at the home of another Master Gardener, and what you see here in front of me is a Nandina. Specifically, it is a Nandina domestica, commonly called heavenly bamboo, and frankly I don't know anything that's heavenly about it. But the Nandina domestica is a variety that will tend to get tall, and most of what I see as I drive through neighborhoods is Nandina that has gotten 6 or 8 or 10 feet tall. You see the bark at the bottom with no leaves. It looks much like the picture in the handout on the front. That's what we often start with. But the other thing you can see from the picture in the handout, it is a cane shrub. So the biggest mistake that people make, including the homeowner here, is to take the shears and just come and shape the outside. You can do that once or twice, but you're going to pay for it, because when you do that, then you get a spurt of growth all on the outside. So instead, knowing that this is a cane shrub, we want to reduce the number of canes. As we were prepping, the person behind the camera said, "I can't see the handout." So that tells me this shrub is way too thick. So we've got to thin this out. We are going to be thinning to increase airflow and sunshine into the plant. The sunshine will give it its great color. Airflow will reduce the incidence of disease. Fortunately, the Nandina is not susceptible to a lot of disease. It is not a native. The domestica is the one that produces berries, and there are still, perhaps we can see, still a few berries here on this shrub, and I can see where there had been clusters of berries on this shrub. If you are into birding and you really like cedar waxwings, then you may want to clip those, because they are toxic to cedar waxwings. So there are folks who grow this because it was already at the house, which is the case with this shrub. The current homeowner did not plant this shrub, it was here. But what we're going to do is to thin these canes. And I've already pulled back the mulch, and if we let me come around a little bit to the front, because one of the first things I found was this low growing comes out along the soil and pops up. So that's coming out first. That's gone. Now we have some canes coming here. They're not as far out, and at least they're growing upright. But you can manhandle Nandina, you will not hurt them. But if we can look at the base of this, you can see some really woody stems. So how do I decide which ones I want to take? Well, I'm going to let this come back a bit, and as I was assessing it, I looked at this tallest one and said, this is a candidate. Let me manhandle it again and follow it down towards the base. And when I finally disentangle it, I'm going to take this one off at the ground level, and then I'll show you what we have. So it is one of the bigger, thicker canes. It's not the biggest, not the thickest. But let me show you what happens when you shear a Nandina. Here is where an earlier shearing took place. And look at the growth that we got. This clumpy type of growth, this wiry type of growth, spindly type of growth. And you can see the earlier cuts. So from that then, it put up this growth. So now I took that one out, and look at the difference it makes. One snip. So then, again, I'm looking at this one that has the old spent flower spikes on it, and it is another thick stem, and I am going to take it off as far down as I can go. and it's probably just at the limit of what I can do with my hand pruners. And again, not to pick on anybody, but this is what happens when you shear a cane shrub. So we have all this wood down here because the bottom of it was getting no sunlight, and then we come through and shear it, and then it puts out this prolific growth. So there's 2 snips, and now if I stick my hand out in the middle of this plant, you may not be able to read it, but you can see that there's a white sheet of paper in there. So I'm looking at this now. Again, the one good thing is this is not already 6 or 8 feet tall, but when I look at it from the top, I think I'm at a spot to stop. I've got kind of a major stem here, a second one here, 3, 4, 5. I've got 5 nice sized stems. And the question is, do I want to do anything else? If I want to, it might be with this. And as it turns out, this is a side branch off, so I'm not taking it all the way at the base, but I'm coming down to where this branches off of a larger stem, and I'll take that out. Now this looks really sparse compared to what it looked like to start, but again, pruning stimulates growth, and every year it puts up new canes, and so it will fill in. What I would describe is, that was a pretty hard pruning, but Nandinas grow quickly. And since it had been sheared, you know, every one of these has some of that prolific growth, and we can't fix that all in 1 year. So I've kept about 8 stems here. I took out 3 out of 11. That's about 1/3 of the plant. So, but I've thinned it out. It should get lots of sunshine. It should respond well to this pruning. And while I'm at it, I'm going to take off a couple more berries because I kind of like cedar waxwings. So, if you have a Nandina domestica that you really didn't know how to take care of, and it's gotten to be 6 or 8 feet tall, and it looks like the picture on the front of the handout, where all you can see at the bottom are the bare stems, you're a candidate to do a renovation pruning, where you come in and you cut it down pretty close to the ground and let it completely regrow. This shrub was not that far gone, so we thinned it significantly by making 3 cuts. And so you do that, you won't have to do that every year. You may do it this year, you may do it again next year, but by then you've started to grow new shoots and you no longer shear them. You just come in and selectively prune out the biggest, oldest, woodiest. And if you have one that I like to call a moonshot that comes out, and you clip it, but don't clip it at the edge of the shrub, clip it 6 or 8 inches down inside the shrub, because it will put out new growth. So that's our Nandina domestica. If you are buying them, you might think twice about buying them. They're not native. And as I say, the berries are toxic to cedar waxwings. But, you know, they do have nice color. So the choice is yours. But all I ask is that you prune it properly so that it continues to look good. And again, with a cane shrub, you're always taking out the biggest, oldest, thickest. They keep it looking like it's a 5 or 6 year old shrub, and then you don't have that 6 or 8 foot tall problem to deal with. Took 3 significant branches off of this Nandina, and you saw what it looks like. But after I walked away and stood out behind the camera, I realized that it's worth showing you the comparison between the one that has been pruned and one behind it that has not been pruned. So just look at the difference. This one is just as thick as what that one was when we started. And so it will get the same attention. Start at the bottom and pick out a big stem, usually in the middle, because that's where it gets most thick. That's where it's the thickest. and just repeat the process that you watched us do on that one. So there's the one we pruned. Here's the second one. And if we pan over here, here's a third one that still has a few berries on it. So there's 3 of them here. It just gives a great comparison of what it looks like properly pruned and what it looks like when it needs to be pruned. Okay, Nandina domestica. Hope you learned something today. Thank you for joining us.